It looks quite credible. It appears very plausible that the ordeal should have been there for Savitri. The assigner of the ordeal has imposed that ordeal on her for a purpose. It is the ordeal to assail her divinest elements, that they come out and come into play. That ordeal provides her the way to assert herself. It is the ordeal that summons her strength, the strength by which should win victory, victory over death, victory over doom. In it, in that ordeal, her strength comes to its appointed road. She had come to wrestle with the shadow of truth cast into the inconscient void. Savitri had come to wrestle with the shadow. And now that combatant's moment of wrestling has arrived for Savitri. That combatant's moment of wrestling, yes, it has come, and Savitri is there to give the fight. She has to carry the struggle of life into the night of the brute and dumb matter. Savitri is going to live and act in the strength of her soul. She is going to carry the struggle in the strength of her soul. Nothing is going to prevent her. Her nature, the circumstances, the time, fate, nothing is going to stop her. Savitri has come to kick all the rules of nature, of fate, of time, of death. She came to undo all the closed doors. She came to undo all the impossibilities. She came to undo death. She came to undo the rule of death. She came to undo the habit. And death is a habit. Death is a habit. But habits can be removed, can be dismissed, can be changed. Habits had to be undone, and Savitri has come to undo that which is a habit. Savitri knew the rules, and therefore she had to fight them. Possibly she could have ignored them, ignored the rules, ignored the habits, as if they did not exist. But the occult reality of death, the existence of the shadow, is indisputable. That is there. It is there perhaps out of some necessity. Therefore, Savitri has to face the divine ordeal. Savitri must confront death. This rendezvous of Savitri with death must take place. It must take place in the march of time, in the unrolling of the process of evolution. That moment has now come. That moment has now come when death must step aside. But how did the ordeal arise? It arose because the day has slipped into the darkness of the night. The day has slipped into the darkness of the night, and it is that which gave rise to the ordeal. But how did that happen? But it is a well-intended mystery, a well-intended, persistent mystery. It is a mystery in God's own creation. The ordeal is a mystery in God's own creation. It is a mystery for us, but in the occult working, there is a role which it is playing. When the long declining day turned into the subconscious night, the dynamic, active, working power of the limitless self got limited in her operation. The dynamic power of the self got limited in her action. When the day has slipped into the subconscious, when things had entered into the lower vital, soul then appeared ordered chance and the uncaring blind necessity. They started governing things. Chance and necessity started governing things when the long declining day turned into the subconscious night. Naturally, therefore, in the subconscious night, the spiritual fire would not dare blaze too high. It is an aspect of wisdom also that the spiritual fire does not blaze too high. Should it meet the intense original flame, then an answering touch might shatter all measures made. All precautions which have been taken, they will get demolished. In that answer of the original flame, of the intense original flame, earth would just sink down under the weight of the infinite. Direct entry of the spirit into matter would simply crush matter. It would be a calamity if it were to enter directly into matter. Matter is not prepared, is not ready to bear the presence of the spirit directly. That would mean destroying the potentialities and possibilities that are locked in matter. The purpose for which the spirit would enter into matter, that purpose itself would get defeated. Matter has to be slowly prepared. It has to be prepared first through life, and then through mind, and then through higher possibilities. Possibly, then any real change would occur in matter. Not until then. When matter is able to bear life and mind and spiritual powers, then it might be able to receive the higher, the transcendental force, the spirit's powers themselves. This is an aspect of a worthwhile process. A slow evolution is an aspect of pragmatism. Thus could eventually be cast the superhuman seed. Superhuman seed in matter, in insentient matter, prepared by life and mind and spiritual powers. In that, the superhuman seed could be cast. But Savitri, she is going to submit to mortality and its law? Is she going to submit to them? Will she accept meekly, dumbly the law of mortality? Is she going to be helpless against law? Is she going to abide by the law of mortality? Is she going to yield to it? But she is not one who would. She would not yield to such a law, such a binding rule. She would fold up her mighty wings and fly away rather, instead of succumbing to this law of mortality. But she would not fold up her bright many-hued wings of dream. She would not fly low. She would not lie prone. She would not kiss the common, trivial soil of this creation. She cannot live in despair. She would not allow the God-given light to be quenched in her. She is made of a different stuff. Always her being is conscious of his divine fount. She is fully aware of the eternal and the true, that which is in her, even in her humanity. There she would brook no compromise. She would not, by small relief, assuage her elemental pain. She has come here to do a work. She has taken a birth to accomplish something here. She has a word to speak. She has something to write here. She has to complete her unfinished story. She has to complete the story of her soul here upon earth. It is this biography that goes back to the beginning of the aspiring soul of the earth itself. Aspiring soul of the earth, it is from that point onward begins Savitri's biography, the story of Savitri, the struggle and the triumph of the undertaking, and the long enterprise can become a full and splendid epic. Sky after dense, luminous sky can be the pages for its inscription. It is the epic of the conquest of death in the fulfillment of the divine will. Conquest of death in the fulfillment of the divine will. That is Savitri. That is also Savitri's epic. The work Savitri has come to do is to transform the brute balance of the world's exchange. That is the work which had begun long ago in ancient time, at the beginning of the earth. In that work is to be accomplished the great world plan. And this has to be done without admitting the element of frustration, without giving up the meaning of the birth and time, without yielding herself to the moods of the passing moment, without succumbing to chance. That is how it has to be accomplished. In that work, if it has to be accomplished, if any help has to come to Savitri, that help must come from her own highest self, from her own source. Her single will must oppose the cosmic rule. If she has come here to give shade to the world plan, her greatness must arise. In that greatness, she must stay the wheels of doom. She must halt the wheels of doom. She must stop them moving.